I'm ready for another quarter of the footer. Got all the rebar tied up. So I've got the vapor barrier, not really more for a vapor barrier, but that's so that I can my forms stay clean. They pop off easy and don't get semen all over them. $8 in plastic. These forms I've already poured 2 sets with. Already used them twice, so I've got basically half of the footer done. Around sections aren't ideal, but it'll work. And I did this all myself. Didn't have to pay anybody. Didn't have to get a cement truck out here and plan to schedule a load and between days off and all that, so I can just do it whenever I have time. So I've got the corner stake up, squared up. The other ones I just set in the cement while it was wet, but I need to get it all square so the block's tied up perfect. Kind of go over what I've got set up. So I'll do my mixing right here. So there's my pallet of Portland. It'll take about 21 bags to do that much. That's about what it did on all the other ones. But I'll mix it there. And gravel, sand piles over here. So here's the mixer. It was $2,800, I think. That's what I paid for it. So it works okay. It's about a half a yard. It doesn't kind of mix as well as I'd hope it would. You kind of have to shake it quite a bit. Otherwise, I've done about 7 yards through it so far. The only thing I did was I had a grate in the bottom down in the chute. Had a cross grates in there. I cut those out because my sand pile has a few roots in there and they kept getting clogged up. So it's got a little solenoid valve that switches between the dumper and the mixer, and actually I don't have a switch, but what I did was wired it up to the horn. So when I pull the horn button, it switches the solenoid over and goes between it's normally on mixing mode, and then when I pull the horn trigger, it goes to dumping mode down there. So works pretty good. So there's my pile of gravel and my pile of sands over there. So that's kind of how you can actually just scoop up the sand and gravel with the bucket. You tip it forward, and it's got a cutting edge right here, so you can just kind of scoop up what you need. I'm sure I'm not precise on it, but you know what? It works. So here in about 3 minutes, I'm gonna start mixing. It's a little warm. It's probably 85 degrees out. It's supposed to cool off tonight, maybe even get some rain, but I should be able to get it all poured and set up enough before the rain's gonna bother it. I'll throw some plastic over it, but I'm gonna get to mixing. All right, this is the first load. I decided to mix it down here so I didn't have to move my water hose, because as you dump about half of the hopper, you kind of got to mix it a little more because there's dry patches that stick to the front and the back, the corners and stuff. So I have to run the hose up over the top because those tracks really eat up hoses and extension cords. I actually just ran over one of my forms, and I am about to get a little tipsy here. Alright, here you can see kind of in the back of the bucket there where it's sticking to it real bad. If you hop it around a bunch, it kind of shakes it loose, but when it's full, it's real hard to do that because it splatters everywhere. They make an extension for this that extends the hopper up. I don't see how it would work any better because it just doesn't mix good enough for the size it is right now. I need to weld some flat plates in there or something to get it to stir it better. But it's also, I'm kind of crooked, and that's why it's not quite dumping very well. And I'm sliding up against my form down in, it's real soft right there where I have overdug the footer. So here I'm gonna go completely run over my supports. I'll have to go back and add a diagonal one in there, but got a little bit left to pour in there, but it'll come out. Here I'm just going to vibrate it and get all the bubbles out. Settle down. That vibrator is actually, it's pretty cheap. I think I bought it at Harbor Freight, not Harbor Freight, Northern Tool, probably 8 years ago. But it works good. Kind of short. When I go to do my block, I'm going to have to buy one that's a little bit longer so I can reach down to the bottom. I'm going to core fill the block, but what this footer is I'm building a shop, and this is actually going to be like a walkout basement under the portion I'm going to use for my wood shop, so I can run the dust collector, HVAC, air compressor. Everything will be underneath it. It'll have about a 6-foot ceiling, and I'm going to put like a full height 8-foot door in there so I can get I'll probably use this for storing lumber as well that I'm waiting for to dry out from the sawmill. But it'll be a good use of space, and I didn't have to, otherwise I would have had to bring in a whole bunch of fill. But now I have the opposite problem. I have a whole lot of fill that isn't very good fill actually, because it's all clay. So everything you see here it's all clay. But I've actually, the footer got all the way down to rock. It's kind of a shale type, real crumbly rock, but it's pretty solid. Definitely virgin dirt for sure. Had to go change my shoes. Forgot I was wearing my Birkenstocks. But I think this was the second load. But see, I'm using that rebar to poke the corners out, because the first few loads that are really dry, it sticks even worse. I just kind of wash everything down, try to keep as skid steer's got cement all over it. I lost some footage there where I finished this I just greeted the first little batch there. It was starting to set up a little bit. But I'm thinking maybe I should get some rebar caps, but they were out of them whenever I was looking for them. But I was checking my camera to make sure that it didn't stop again. Another load. 3 more 92.6 pound bags of Portland. Here I've got about a load, but I lost some more video. My camera was overheating or something, but ended up taking the other two. I'm basically doing quarters. The other 2 quarters were 21 bags, and this was only took 19. This one little short leg's a little smaller than the other sides. Is probably why, but the last I had to do one little small batch at the end with just 1 bag in it. Turned out pretty good, but still got to Just kind of cleaning out the machine right there in my concrete washout area. But I still gotta gotta run my stakes or the rebar for the block, and it's got to set up quite a bit more. But so here I'm measuring out for my rebar. I just used a torch and bent the ends down. I don't have a rebar bender. Well, I do. It's called a cutting torch. But here I'm running a string off the other stake on the other side. I squared everything up before I finished up this footer just to make sure my original poles are straight. So the string here is just to kind of keep them all in line. But I don't have to be perfect. I got a little bit of wiggle room. Keep getting my cement all over my tape measure. It's probably my good tape measure too. See, I'm washing it off. So, and I'm going to leave it out to dry. And hopefully not get stepped on. So here I just cut the plastic for the next slab. I was actually talking on this, but my, I don't know what happened to my mic. But it's supposed to rain tonight, and here I've got to dig out, because if it gets water inside there, it'll just heave up over it because there's no drainage. So I'm just going to dig a little ditch here in case it gets a whole bunch of rain. That way the concrete should be cured enough to where it wouldn't really hurt it, but especially with the plastic, it's got plastic, it really won't even be in contact with much water since I got the top covered, but it's a little tipsy there. It's ready to be done. It's tired, exhausted. Concrete or Portland bags get heavy after a while, but took about 3.5 hours from when I mixed the first batch to whenever I finished the last of it. And that's about it. I got another quarter to do. Probably I'll wait a day, pull the forms off tomorrow, wait a day, and go ahead and form up the other one and get it poured. I can maybe in a week start my block work.